this motion to a 5-point plan to address inequality. I don't think we'll have anything more important today to discuss than the absolute destruction that we are on the horizon of. Families in poverty, children in poverty. And we need to recognise that as a nation, there is absolutely no need for us to be in this current situation. Conference, we could spend the whole day discussing the main points of the motion. In fact, as a party, I think that we should be bringing together the best minds in our country in order to produce a plan of action that works towards the ultimate outcome of the eradication of poverty in Scotland, an overhaul of our criminal justice system, and how we develop a person-centred health and social care system. But I've only got a couple of minutes, so I'm only going to be able to address 1 or 2 points. Conference, in their annual report on poverty in Scotland, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation in 2020 highlighted that in the period between 2016 and 2019, around 1 million people in Scotland were in poverty. 230,000 children, 640,000 working age adults, and 150,000 pensioners. And these figures from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation actually exclude the period that we're just coming out of in relation to the pandemic and COVID-19. The Scottish Government's own figures recognise that their policies and measures have not helped to push the number of children in poverty down. In fact, their own figures show us that children in poverty, the numbers have actually increased. And we are now, believe it or not, at a 5-year high in relation to those numbers. Well, Conference, I don't think that's good enough for our bairns in our Scotland. So, what we also need to recognise, Conference, is that things are going to get worse. The GFT report highlight the risk factors for children and for, in the majority of cases, women. And so they look at a child that's living with a family where there is no employment, within a lone parent family, or in socially rented accommodation. That the children within these factors are actually at a really high risk. And these figures and risk factors do not include the eye-watering rises to gas and electricity prices that are coming our way. And the fact that inflation currently is at 6% and above in terms of inflation, or the cuts that have been made recently to universal credit. And we should also not forget the huge amount of people who are working full-time jobs, but they are low paid. They are within what we call the job insecurity sectors in terms of the gig industry and stuff like that. The plight of seeing full-time qualified nurses having to use food banks, in my opinion, is an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. And then we saw this week, those of you that are on Twitter, a tweet about a 14-year-old young boy who fainted. He was at a food bank, had fainted, and the reason being that he was malnourished. We live currently within the United Kingdom, which is one of the richest nations in the world, and yet we are in the situation that we are in. Conference, I want to end my remarks on what's coming round the corner, and it's very noticeable that the government, the Scottish Government, have not made any mention of this currently in their manifestos, and that is the reorganisation of our health and social care system. It's going to have major impact on all of us, especially those of you who are independent or family carers. What the proposal will do is to lift all of the responsibilities for health and social care and social work and take it away from local government. So your locally elected councillors, whatever, will have no say in how you decide to prioritise services in your area dependent on the demographic needs of your communities. So we need to be fighting to make sure that the policies that they're talking about introducing are fair and transparent. And I would ask you all to go and look at the alternative which has been put forward and proposed by the Commonweal organisation, and you can go online and download their ebook. Conference, and finishing my remarks, I ask you to support the motion. These are just some of the issues that we need to address if we want to become a fair and just and independent Scotland. I move. Thank you, Conference.